Money is nothing but the measure of the value you create for other people. Here's the law of income. This, I think, is from Brian Tracy. You get paid in direct proportion to the amount of value that you deliver according to the marketplace. You get paid in direct proportion to the value that you deliver. So what does this mean? It means that if you have this much money in your bank account, it means you're delivering a lot of value. If you have this much money in your bank account or zero in your bank account, well, guess what? You haven't yet figured out how to add a lot of value by providing solutions to people's problems and challenges. Do people have problems, challenges, inconveniences? Do people have those kinds of things? Yes? A little bit or a lot? Now, are there millions of entrepreneurs out there, right? There are millions of entrepreneurs, yes? Are there millions of entrepreneurs? Yes. Have they managed to solve every single person's problems yet? No. If you understood the scale of that, of how much people want and need things and solutions, you would begin to see the scale of the opportunity as an entrepreneur. At least that's how I started thinking about all of this. Your income is in direct proportion to your ability to add massive and measurable levels of value to other human beings. The reason most people are broke is that they don't deliver a lot of value in the eyes of the current marketplace. Now, we get this question a lot at the back, which is this. Okay, so what should I do now? Should I do this? Should I do that? What should I do exactly? What business model should I go for? What business idea should I go for? What kind of strategy should I follow? I'm learning all these different strategies, but which one should I follow exactly? Well, that's an impossible question to answer, really, because it depends on you. It depends on who you are, what you want to do, what your passions are, and it depends on what type of wealth creator you are. Now, a few years ago, one of my seminar attendees, Vidya Devi, in fact, she gave me this book. She offered me this book from Roger Hamilton called Your Life, Your Legacy. And it's a brilliant book. And in this book, Roger explains the different types of wealth creators. I think it's based on the Chinese I Ching book. And it talks about these 8 types of wealth creators. And by the way, here's where I first read this equation that money equals value times leverage. So here is the wealth dynamics model. And I'm going to go through it very quickly just to give you an idea. Basically what he says is that depending on who you are, where you were born, when you were born, different kinds of things like that, you'll be creating wealth. It'll be easier for you to create wealth in a different way. So for example, let's start with my profile, which is a creator/star. Yes, I'm a star. No, here's what I mean. So the creator profile means that you like creating products, for example. If you're somebody who likes creating products, well, maybe that's the thing you should do. So you should be thinking about creating products, creating services, creating content, creating information. That's where you will create wealth. If you're a star, that kind of means that you create value because people want to associate themselves with you because, I don't know, because you want to be a movie star or a TV star, radio star, music star, etc., etc. So that's how they create value in a sense. Supporter means that you create value by being a great manager of people. Okay, so for example, Jack Welch at GE, that's the example they give often, was a great manager, and that's why he was worth millions of pounds a year, millions of dollars a year, because that was the way that he created value, by supporting other people. Deal maker basically means, it's mostly to do with sales, that you should look at, if you're good at sales, then maybe you can do webinars, you can do joint venturing deals as well, things like that. This is how kind of that applies to the internet marketing arena. Trader, if your dominant wealth dynamics profile is that of a trader, it means that you'll create wealth by buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling. So perhaps the business model that would be good for you would be to go to flippa.com, buy a website, buy a web business at flippa.com, F-L-I-P-P-A, buy a business, add some value to it, and sell it on. You buy, you sell, you buy, you sell. Or perhaps internet marketing isn't for you, and you'd rather, or you could buy domain names and sell domain names, etc. But perhaps as a trader, these people are very good at in the stock market or also with property. Accumulator means that you like to accumulate income-producing assets. So that's your pattern. You like to accumulate followers on Twitter, fans in Facebook pages, properties that pay you a monthly return, stocks in the stock market that pay you an annual dividend, for example. That's kind of the mindset, the mind pattern of an accumulator. And I think I have some of that as well because I like to accumulate income-producing assets, income-producing websites, in fact. By the way, in this book and on his website, there's a test for you to figure out what kind of wealth creator you are. Lord means that you like to buy assets that appreciate in value over time. So that's kind of the mindset there. Apparently a lot of accountants are typically lords or accumulators. That's kind of their mindset. And the one that lets me down the most, probably most of the time, is the mechanic. A mechanic is somebody that is very good at putting systems in place. I get bored very easily. I like to create new things. This is why I kind of create different seminars and all of that stuff. So a mechanic is somebody that likes to do the same thing, well, that kind of likes to put a system in place that works over and over and over again. Does that make sense? Yeah? So they might take an internet business and go, okay, well, it's working, but there's no system to it so that it can be streamlined and automated, et cetera. So they'll take something that works and kind of make it automated. And I remember reading this book in 2006 when I had 7 members of staff in offices. I had to create the product. I had to be the person on stage. I had to support the team. I had to do the selling, do the deals as well. I had to also think about putting the systems in place. Do you think that worked really well for me back then, doing all of those things? Not at all. I was going crazy. I was working 16 hours a day. It was a nightmare. And when I read this, I realized, and what he says is basically find out what is your dominant wealth creation profile, thank you, and basically find people that complement you in those other areas. You might need just a couple of people, because typically what happens is you'll have 1 or 2 dominant profiles, and like another one will be kind of somewhat, you'll be somewhat good at it kind of thing. And so find a couple of people that maybe are good at managing people, somebody who's good as a mechanic, for example, or as a deal maker. Like Robert Kiyosaki, what does Robert Kiyosaki says about making money? It is a team, it's a team sport. Making money is a team sport, right? You can't do everything yourself. So just have a think about that and how you can find people who can maybe complement your weaknesses. For example, typically web designers tend to be in the mechanic, lord kind of arena. Oh, and by the way, on this side of this example here of the Wealth Dynamics profile, it's where you are basically an introvert. You don't really like to speak to people. On that side, on the other side, on the right-hand side, you are an extrovert. You prefer to speak to people. And the people like creator or trader, they're kind of in the middle. They kind of want to speak to people, but they also like their, I guess, being alone. And I think that's what I do. I kind of go away for a while. I'm on holiday for a couple of months, and I come back and I do a seminar. I get my feel of like connecting with people, and then I go back. Anyway. So, also, there's a lot more I can say about this, but let's just move on. Is this interesting so far? Yes? So you've got to figure out, the point I'm making is trying to help you figure out what kind of business is best